This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday for today, August the 11th, is a man who was a legend with the Detroit Lions in the NFL. He is actually a special assistant to the owner of the Lions nowadays. He played linebacker for Ohio State, and he played for a few NFL teams. He actually was a Fox Sports broadcaster for 2 decades before moving on to the front office with the Lions. Now, to be fair, this guy was pretty good, but it was his wife that is the inspiration to this on this day. And it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Anyway, or Cancer Awareness Month, if you will. His name is Chris Spielman, who is now 58 years old. Chris Spielman came from Massillon, Ohio, and was named the National High School Scholar Athlete of the Year in 1983, and actually had his picture on a Wheaties box, which, you know, at the time was a big, big, big deal. Anyway, Spielman actually had offers from the University of Michigan, wanted to go to Michigan. The only problem was his father was a gigantic Ohio State fan, and Spielman actually said it in a documentary. He said this: my dad said, okay, where do you want to go? I said, Dad, I want to go to Michigan. And he said, you traitor, I'll tell you where you're going. You're going down 71 South, and you're going to play for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Better not go there, aka Michigan. Don't ever come home if you do. Oh, yeah, father sometimes. But anyway, Spielman relented and went to Ohio State. He was a 2-time All-American, got 11 passes, and actually was named best college football linebacker. He had a degree in recreation education. So it was the 1980 NFL draft, and you'll be thinking, well, Spielman will definitely go somewhere as a linebacker. Well, Atlanta drafted a linebacker first overall, and that was Audrey Bruce from Auburn, which was a big bust when they could have had Neil Smith, they could have had Tim Brown, or even Sterling Sharp. Atlanta made a giant mistake. Phoenix drafted Ken Harvey 12 overall as a linebacker from Cal. Didn't work out quite as well. Miami took Eric Kumerall from Ohio State. So Spielman wasn't the first Ohio State linebacker taken. Kumerall went up before him to Miami, which led to nowhere. Cleveland had Cliff Charlton, linebacker from Florida. So teams passed on it. And Atlanta took another linebacker, Marcus Cotton from USC. Can't have enough linebackers. Well, Detroit, 29th overall, second pick in the second round, took Spielman. It was a pick that the Lions picked up from Kansas City. So it may have worked out for the Lions, getting a good linebacker. Spielman was good for the Lions. He actually had spent 8 years with the Lions and was a defensive stalwart, getting Detroit to 4 playoff appearances, 2 NFC Central titles, and a berth in the 91 NFC Championship game. In the only game the Lions ever won, playoff game the Lions have ever won since the merger, was the division series when the Lions hosted those pesky Cowboys and won. He was the captain of the Lions defense, one of the best statistically in the NFL. The only problem was Detroit's offense was just basically Barry Sanders, Johnny Morton, and a list of quarterbacks. Anyway, Spielman is still the franchise's all-time leader in career tackles, although it's with an asterisk because the tackles thing was recorded statistically started in 1973, Lions. But he had 10 sacks and 4 interceptions, too. Lots of forced fumbles. He actually was the first Lion to lead the team to tackle 7 straight seasons, putting up 195 tackles in 1994. He went to 4 Pro Bowls, was named team defensive MVP a couple of times. Well, why not? So he was an icon. Unfortunately, though, free agency came and Detroit couldn't afford to keep him, so he went to Buffalo for 2 years. Unfortunately, his second season with the with the Bills, was limited because of spinal surgery. And in 98, his wife was battling cancer, so he chose to miss the 98 season. And then he went back to Cleveland. They went to Cleveland and played for the 99 Browns, the expansion Browns, if you will. Unfortunately, he would have another neck injury, and before the regular season started, he would have to retire. which was huge because who knows what Spielman would have been like. So anyway, Spielman was inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame in 2009. And in 2012, he was in A Football Life about his family and all that. Spielman is in the Detroit Lions thing called The Pride of the Lions, the greatest players in their history. Spielman's broadcasting career started as a studio analyst for the NFL on Fox Sports Net after he retired. After 2 years with FSN, he would join ESPN in 2001, becoming a color analyst for college football broadcasts. And a studio analyst too. Anyway, it was huge and all that. But in 2016, Spielman stepped away from ESPN and joined Fox as a game analyst, being partnered with Dick Stockton. He would also be partnered up with the pairing of Tom Brenneman and Charlie Davis in a 3-man booth. But Spielman was there. Spielman almost got the Ohio State head coaching position in 2000 before he went to Jim Tressel. And he actually was an Arena Football League coach for Columbus, but they were 2-14. But in December 2020, his life changed as the Lions would hire him as special assistant to the chairman and president of the Lions. His older brother is Rick Spielman, who was actually GM of the Vikings at one time. His son Noah played football for Wheaton College. His nephew plays for TCU, J.D. Spielman. And Macy was a basketball player too. So anyway, Spielman and his first wife Stephanie had 4 children. However, Stephanie's courage is the big reason why I picked Spielman. Because I remember about Spielman and his wife. Stephanie suffered 4 bouts with breast cancer. Can you believe it? 4 bouts of cancer? Breast cancer. And she survived. It was just basically she and Chris were active in raising funds for breast cancer research. Unfortunately for Stephanie, the dream would vanish as she was diagnosed with cancer a 5th time, and she died from it in 2009. Spielman would actually marry someone in 2013 and adopt her 2 daughters. But yeah, the courage of Stephanie Spielman was just huge. About suffering 4 bouts of breast cancer, surviving each time. Your chances of surviving cancer multiple times is very low, actually. It is higher than most people think, but still, I mean, 4 times getting cancer and 4 times beating it, that's a rarity nowadays. But yeah, and she unfortunately lost her life because of the 5th time. But Chris Spielman is still an icon, and don't you forget it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond, and do